What's up, guys? Welcome to Far From Blake, and today we are going to be going over my top 10 Cobra Kai characters. Now, this is not a top 10 fighters list, this is my top 10 favorite characters. So, overall character arcs, maybe fighting plays a factor. It's what they mean to me, maybe nostalgic, maybe not, if it's an adult character or kid. It's just who is my favorite to watch. Plain and simple. Now remember, this is my list. We can all have different lists and different opinions. This is my favorite show of all time. So I love every character in this show. So any character that is not in my top 10, I still might really, really love. If you want to see anyone that I don't mention, I do have a top 60 tier list ranking video of 60 plus Cobra Kai characters. So if there's anyone I leave off that you're mad about and you want to hear my thoughts on them, I have a video on that, so definitely go check that out. Okay, so coming in at number 10, we have Crease. John Crease is my number 10 favorite character in Cobra Kai. Now you're probably thinking that is way too low. I get it. Crease is amazing. I have major nostalgia for him. He is such an important character. Like I said, I love all these characters. I will say that my bottom four, 7, 8, 9, and 10, are basically interchangeable. All four of those characters in my 7, 8, 9, 10, I can basically flip. So Crease, I'm putting at number 10 today, but I can easily flip him to 7. That's how close those four characters are to me. Now, the reason why I'm putting Crease at 10 is just that he is kind of one note throughout the series. He is pretty, like, straightforward besides the part 3 character arc in the end. Now his part 3 character arc almost makes me want to put him almost as high as 7 because his character arc is beautiful. I will say one last warning in this video that I will be going into spoilers of season 6 part 3 and all of season 6 in general. So if you have not finished the show, you should not be watching this video. Go finish the rest of season 6, then come back to this. Now into the spoilers. Crease's dynamic with Johnny and the redemption arc that Crease has is so impactful. It's so great. Even his redemption and character arc and journey with Tori, his father, daughter, or grandfather type relationship to Tori is great, along with his father son type relationship with Johnny. I love what they do with that. I like Crease a lot more in part 3 than Silver, which you'll see Silver higher up on this list. But for the majority of the series, Crease is pretty one note. He is pretty. I don't know. I love Crease, so I don't really want to bash him. It's just that I don't feel compelled to put him higher than the couple characters I have above him. Okay, so coming in at number 9, I have Tori Nicholls. Tori is my number 9 favorite character in the show. I like Tori. I like Tori a lot. The reason why she is this low is that I find myself majority of the series not really rooting for her. Now I love again her character arc and where she finishes off I think is fantastic. I was rooting for her to the very end to fight Zara and to beat her. I think the character arc that she goes through in those last couple seasons, I mean all as a whole, she starts off really crazy and then just little by little, we peel back the layers of the depth behind her character and why she is the way that she is, and all the trauma and all the stuff that she goes through, and the stuff that she has to overcome in season 6, losing her mother, and the devastation behind that. And, she makes a lot of wrong choices in this show, but she shows so much fight and grit, and she is the ultimate Cobra Kai girl, which is kind of why it needed to finish with her, because the show, as we know, goes full circle and bringing it back to Cobra Kai. And, Robbie and Sam were the original Miyagi-Do students. So, as we know, Miguel and Tori were really the original Cobra Kai. Yes, Aisha was the original first Cobra Kai girl, but for some reason, we never brought her back. So, in reality, Tori was the ultimate Cobra Kai girl that never really left Cobra Kai at all. I mean, she had a little bit of training with Miyagi-Do, but in reality, she was fully Cobra Kai the entire time, even in the Sekai Tekai under Crease and whatnot. Tori is a great character. I only put her this low because in the first couple seasons, she does kind of frustrate me. Upon rewatch, I start to understand her character more, and I'm okay with the stuff that she does kinda in those first couple seasons because I now know the bigger picture eventually what she turns into, and she does turn into the girl that you root for in the end. And I could not be more happier with her being the Sekai Tekai champion. She deserves it. Okay, coming in at number 8, I have Silver, Terry Silver, the big bad, the best villain in this entire series. Silver is a fantastically written character. You know, he is menacing the entire time, not just from a fighting standpoint. He shows to be a physical fighting threat the most when it comes to the villains, way more than John Crease in those first couple seasons of him being on the show. But he also has that psychological threat and that insanity, and also the fact that he's so rich and powerful that he can do things and get away with them makes him so dangerous. I think the only flaw I really have with him, or the only time I really couldn't stand his crap anymore, was in part 3. He really starts to go off the rails, so much so that I do root for and like John Kreese a lot more than him in part 3. Silver never ever has any redemption. He just goes full insanity by the end, to the very end, till we see that final fight between him and Kreese, which was very satisfying. But I couldn't stand him, and that's why it was like I was rooting for Crease so heavy in that fight, because Silver starts going off the rails and starts threatening Johnny and his family and his new baby, and it's like, oh my gosh, can this guy get over it by now? But that doesn't change the fact that he was such an exciting villain. His little piano music that plays, his little asa, and his high kicks for such he's supposed to be playing a character that's way older than Daniel and this and that, but he's actually the same age as Daniel. So that's always pretty funny to think about. Going back to the original Karate Kid 3, a lot of people don't like that movie. I have nostalgia for Karate Kid 3. I actually always enjoyed Karate Kid 3. So I loved when he came back to the show. I was real excited. And man, did Silver kill it in this show. Okay, coming in at number 7, we have Robbie Keene. Robbie Keene is my number 7 favorite character in the show. Now, like I said earlier, my 7, 8, 9, and 10 are so interchangeable. I can flip any one of them on the dime. Robbie, Silver, Tori, and Crease can all be flipped around. And it's funny because Silver and Crease are always compared. Robbie and Tori obviously have their relationship. Just kind of like with Tori, I find myself not really rooted for Robbie majority of the series. You'll see, based off characters I haven't named that are higher, Robbie is usually at foe with people that I'd rather root for. So that always kind of holds him back. But that's not the main reason why he's this low. It's also because Robbie just frustrates me a lot of the time. He's probably the number 1 character in the show that I love and hate. I never full-on hate him, otherwise he wouldn't be my number 7 favorite character in my favorite show of all time, right? He's a great character. I do root for him a lot. I did feel really bad for him the way he goes out in that fight with Axel, right? Granted, I wanted Miguel to be the one to come back and be the champion, so it had to happen. Miguel is the Cobra Kai kid in this show. He is the Karate Kid of this show. But I still did feel bad for Robbie because he went through so much adversity in the show, not just with his family issues in the jail and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But, he's taken second basically every single time in this show. So I feel for him as a competitor, as an athlete. That's something that, I can resonate with. When you train so hard and you can fall short in some areas, that's something I resonate with Robbie Keene. And besides all that, Robbie Keene is just a great character. There is times when he's Miyagi-Do, you do kind of like him in those first couple seasons, but he always does boneheaded decisions, or he always acts irrational or acts emotional, and most of the time, he causes a lot of the problems in his life, in my opinion, and that's why he frustrates me. I mean, heck, all of part 2 of the Sekai Tech guy, him zoning out to stare at Tori, to lose focus, got so redundant and so ridiculous that I was just like, it was driving me nuts. But Robbie Keene's a great character. He is basically the most pure Miyagi-Do student in some sort of ways. I mean, I guess technically Dimitri is because he never left. But he was, I would say, most peak aura moment of Robbie was Cobra Kai Robbie in Season 4. He was really, really cool in Season 4, Cobra Kai. Even though I wasn't rooting for him at all, that version of him was really, really cool. So Robbie Keene's a great character. It's a very nice love hate relationship between Robbie, but I am ultimately happy that he gets his happy ending with Tori. Makes his big break in, the karate world where he's now going to be performing for money essentially. He's doing commercials and I don't know, he has an actual full-time career and it felt like he was never going to be able to get something like that. So, happy for Robbie Keane. That's my 7 through 10 bracket, which is very very close. But Robbie Keane, as of today in this video, is my number 7. Okay, coming in at number 6, we have Samantha Laruso. Sam Laruso is my number 6 favorite character in Cobra Kai. Sam's a great character, an overhated character. I don't know why, but it's become such a popular thing for people to hate on Sam on the internet. Sam's a great character. I love her in those first couple seasons. I think she's beautiful. I love her relationship with Miguel. I also did enjoy it with Robbie, as we also know in real life that apparently they are now engaged, Tanner Buchanan and Mary Mauser. So congratulations to them. That was shocking to find out. I loved both of their dynamics, but it was meant for Sam to be kind of in the very beginning the alley of the show. Like just like how Miguel was supposed to be the Daniel Russo, Sam was supposed to be the alley of the show. And she does a great job at it. By season 2, she gets into the karate world. She really does embody the Miyagi-Do fighting style. I feel like the entirety of the show, which is really cool. She has all these like cool little, you know, attributes when she fights that always knows and brings it back to that she is purely Miyagi-Do roots. Even when she does go Eagle Fade or Johnny Lawrence style karate when she gets aggressive, she always has those Miyagi-Do tangibles, which is really unique to see in her fighting style. But besides that point, she is such a great character. She from the entirety, and that's why Tori is lower, because I always find myself usually rooting for Sam throughout the series, so that by default that brings Tori down lower. But it still made sense to me in the end that Sam, realized and comes to the realization that she doesn't really need this and Tori needs this more. She takes the back seat, which is perfectly on par with the Miyagi-Do character traits, right? Sam has other things going on. Tori needed it more, so I think that was great for her journey. I love that Sam and Tori become friends in the end. Their friendship feels pure and authentic, and I love what the writers did with that. And also, just the way she goes out in the family scene and the Miguel scene were so emotional. Her relationship with Daniel and Amanda, her mother and father, and even Anthony in that final airport scene where they're crying made me emotional because it was like you felt like not only is the show like the characters over, like they're moving on to their next chapter of his life, but you feel the authenticity of that the show is over in that moment, and then Miguel and Sam have their cute little romantic thing at the end. Sam's a great character. Y'all are hated. She's a great fighter, and she does so much for the show. Yes, does she cause a lot of problems with the relationships between Robbie and Tori and Miguel? Yes, but they kind of all play a factor in that for the most part. Now, one thing I've always seen people hate on was in season 3 that she acted so tough and then she got scared to fight from Tori. In the moment, I could see why people thought that, but going back and if you watch the whole full arc of the show and this and that, her battling anxiety in that moment from going through such a thing, right? I thought was a really powerful thing for that character, and she just has lots of great arcs throughout the series, and y'all gotta stop hating on Sam. She is my favorite female character. Spoiler for the rest of the show. She's my favorite female character in the show. So, Sam Laruso, congratulations, you are my number 6 in the show. Okay, kicking it off with the top 5, we have Chosen. Chosen Taguchi. Chosen is my number 5 favorite character in Cobra Kai. Chosen is, wow, what a great character. I mean, he doesn't really join the show until season 5. And the fact that he is in my top 5 favorite characters just show how much of an impact he made instantly. Now, granted, he was in one episode, I believe, in season 3, only one episode, and like a snippet at the end of season 4 to tease that he was going to be in the rest of the show. But his impact in season 5, I mean, he made season 5. Silver did too, right? The storyline between the villain, but Chosen, his instant impact of like when he invaded Cobra Kai to infiltrate it, to get inside Silver's head and find out what's going on, and he fights all those senseis, was such a peak moment in Cobra Kai, really showing Chosen's fighting ability and like that old like Miyagi-Do style karate, but with a hints of Johnny. That's the cool thing about Chosen's like personality. He's got a hints of Miyagi, he's got a hints of Daniel LaRusso, and got a hints of Johnny Lawrence because he's a bad boy like Johnny almost, but he's got the Miyagi-Do defensive roots like Daniel. So he's has a lot of philosophy and stuff like that. But he's also like, screw all that, I'm ready to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, like Johnny. So he's such a cool written character. He's also a very comedic character. He's very, very funny. He's goofy and silly and does some dumb stuff and does some questionable stuff. That's kind of what holds him back from being in my top four, though. In season six, he does take a lot more of a backseat compared to where season five, he's a huge focal point. In season six, he is mainly the comedic relief majority of the season. I would have liked him to do a little bit more to maybe crack that top four, but just because of that alone, it would be disrespectful to not have the four characters I have above him because he doesn't technically do enough in season six. So just solely based it off season five to be in my top four wouldn't feel right because of how impactful my top four is. Okay, before we kick off my top four, make sure to like and subscribe because there will be more Cobra Kai content in the future. So if you were liking this video, smash that like button and subscribe. And after this video, go check out my 60 character tier list so you can keep talking about Cobra Kai with me. Alright, time to get into our top four. Okay, coming in at number four, we have Daniel LaRusso. Daniel LaRusso, the original Karate Kid, is my number four favorite character in Cobra Kai. Daniel means a lot to me. Karate Kid is my favorite movie of all time. Without the original Karate Kid movie, I don't probably get as interested in the idea of this show, and it probably wouldn't mean as much to me. When I say Cobra Kai is my favorite show of all time, a big reason behind that is that the Karate Kid is my favorite movie of all time. I grew up watching the Karate Kid since I was a little kid, like 2-3 years old. Grew up watching it my entire life, so this show was a dream come true to me, and Daniel is a big part of that, right? Daniel is a great character. Now, the reason why he is not higher is that he is kind of frustrated in the show. He is someone that I don't technically root against, as you are probably assuming, because I haven't mentioned him yet. Yes, Johnny is above him in this show for me. Johnny is the sole focal point of the show. It's so much harder to not root for Johnny, or it's so much easier to root for Johnny than to root for Daniel in this show, to me. Johnny is the better character. But I still love Daniel. He still means a lot. He does such a great job, Ralph Macchio, at really bringing back the roots of this character of the Karate Kid and taking on the lessons of Mr. Miyagi. And really, it feels so authentic to the Karate Kid, universe. So Ralph Macchio killed it as Daniel LaRusso. But one flaw of Daniel LaRusso's character, which is true to his character from the Karate Kid, is that he can be a bit of a hothead and a bit irrational. And man, do they tap into that in this show, because he is the biggest reason for so many problems in this show. We talk about Tori going off the rails, or Sam maybe making bad decisions with the relationship dynamics, or maybe Robbie doing certain things as well, right? I said all that with those characters, but Daniel is probably the worst of them all, especially when it comes to his relationship with Johnny. If he realized what we all knew sooner, which eventually they lead to in the end of them becoming friends, we wouldn't even had half the problems we had if Daniel wasn't judging Johnny from something 35 years ago from one high school, right? But we need Daniel to kind of create a lot of the dynamics in the show. He is entertaining, right? But he can be frustrating because there's so many times it's like, dude, Johnny's not that bad a guy. When Miguel was in Cobra Kai, he wasn't that bad of a kid. When are you going to realize that? And eventually he learns that in season 3, that Miguel wasn't a bad kid. And he's kind of the biggest reason why Robbie lost focus in that season 2 school fight, because he gave up on Robbie just because he slept over his dad's house, right? And I get it, he was worried about his kid, but it all comes from the judgment of Johnny, even though he's already shown that him and Johnny can get along. So why are you freaking out on Robbie? I don't know. There's so many things you could pick apart, bad decisions that Daniel does throughout the show. But I still love Daniel. He still means a lot to me. He is the Miyagi of this show, right? That embodies the Karate Kid spirit. And he's such an important character. It's again, kind of like Robbie, a love-hate relationship, but it's more love than hate because this character has always meant so much to me. And Ralph Macchio, he kills it. So Daniel Laruso, you are my number 4. And I will say there was points where I thought before season 6 that I might like Chosen more than Daniel because of how frustrated Daniel could be at times and how awesome Chosen was. But it'd be disrespectful not to put Daniel above Chosen just because of the impact he's made for the entire series, where Chosen just wasn't in the show enough. Okay, coming in at number 3, we have Hawk, or Eli Moskowitz, if I'm saying that name right. Hawk. We'll just call him Hawk. Hawk is such a goated character. I love Hawk so much. He is a big reason why I fell in love with this show. In the very beginning, they used him as the perfect entity, as what you thought Cobra Kai to be, the big bullies and, the ones that bully the kids from back in the 1984 Karate Kid and this and that, just the irrational, I'm just going to beat you up, strike first, strike hard, no mercy. Hawk embodied that the most in those first few seasons because Miguel, we always knew, had more of a Daniel LaRusso-like qualities, right? He was never fully bad. He made a couple bad moments after he got drunk in, the end of season 1. But for the most part, Miguel was always good, right? Hawk, he went from bullied, insanely the shy, quiet kid, couldn't say a word, has, a deformed lip, and, transforms himself into the over-the-top Mohawk character, and Johnny calls him Hawk, and he flips the script, right? And then he goes full-on bully to where he's the most menacing Cobra Kai kid character, and he's just so relentless in his bullying so much that he starts, he breaks his best friend's arm by season 3, but he has so much depth behind him because he was used to be such an innocent, sweet kid that he always had a conscience behind that deep down, even though he was losing his head because he grew so much strength and power in his mind from being bullied that now he needs to be the bully to make himself feel confident. So much so that his season 4 character arc, by the end of it, is that he gets his head shaven, gets completely humbled, joins Miyagi-Do, finds peace, finds balance, right? And ends up winning the All-Valley Championship when he was kind of considered the third string up to that point. It was always Miguel Robbie. And I'm not going to lie, as much as I love Miguel, and obviously I haven't mentioned him yet, you can probably assume that he's higher. He is, right? Miguel's not going to be left off. Don't worry. But I did find myself while watching the season 4 All Valley, Miguel wasn't as great in season 4 in my opinion. There was something about him that just, he wasn't my favorite version of Miguel, and I didn't feel like he deserved to win that year. And I found myself wanting to root for Hawk that season, or at least in that All Valley. But at the same time, I didn't want to root against Miguel. And we know eventually what happened. Miguel gets hurt, so it gives Hawk the free pass to fight Robbie in the finals. I know I just didn't want Robbie to win. Clearly, that was just the one thing I know. I wanted Miguel or Hawk. When Miguel went down, I was like, okay, Hawk technically didn't beat him, so I'm cool if that happened. Now it's like, okay, Miguel, Hawk, this is your shot. And when Hawk beat Robbie in All Valley, it's one of my favorite moments in all of Cobra Kai. It's one of my favorite episodes, season 4, episode 9 and 10. The All Valley arc when he kisses Moon and then beats up Kyler, finally gets his revenge on Kyler, and then gets his revenge on Robbie in the finals. His arc from season 1 to season 4 is just a masterclass of writing and storytelling. Sadly, season 5 and season 6, as we know, they kind of butchered our boy. What they did with him, with Kenny, was so disrespectful. I don't care. I mean, in season 6, maybe it's more believable because Kenny gets bigger, stronger, actually develops more as a man, right? Maybe that version of Kenny, you could say, could beat Hawk or could have a chance, right, too. But the season 5, Kenny was literally a little kid. It made no sense. They had to do so much loopholes to make Kenny win that fight against Hawk, right? The silver bullet, the refs cheating, and ultimately, what I don't hear too many people talk about is that another reason why I don't like Robbie and his stupidity and the decisions he makes. Robbie is a big reason why Hawk loses that fight, believe it or not. If you haven't thought about it, I'm going to explain why. Right before that fight, Robbie tells Hawk to take it easy on him. Remember, it's not his fault Silver got in his head. He's a Cobra Kai. You remember what it was like to be in Cobra Kai? And you see Hawk's attitude change from, oh, I'm going to beat this kid up, to he's right. I gotta be the more peaceful, loving. I gotta be Eli, right? And he lost focus in the beginning. He underestimated Kenny because of Robbie kind of making Hawk lose focus, and Kenny was going full blast at him, and then obviously the cheating happened and this and that, and it just, when you're in a fight situation like that, I was a wrestler and all this stuff. When you have discombobulated thoughts, and in those early points of a fight or a any sort of competition, and your opponent can get the leverage on you, and then you notice the ref's not playing your hand, and there's all these little factors, and you don't have that focus from the jump, and you start taking like a loss, that's when your opponent can maybe jump on you, and that's what happened, and that's why Kenny was able to get that silver bullet. Like I said, the writers did, I guess, technically a great job at coming up with all this mumbo jumbo to have Kenny beat Hawk. And I had a bad feeling that was going to happen, because the second Robbie and Miguel announced that they wanted Hawk to be the fighter for it, and they were like, he deserves it, blah blah, I was like, oh my gosh, the way the story's going, this and that, I'm like, they're gonna have Hawk lose, aren't they? Because they're gonna have a split. I knew they would have a split where one would win and one would win, and it would be like a tie. I knew Cobra Kai would straight out win, and neither would Miyagi, in season 5. So I was like, dude, they would never have Miguel lose to Kenny or Robbie, but like, they're gonna have freaking Hawk lose to him, and I was right. And since that point, they never really redeemed his character. In season 6, part 1, they make it like he's not even the Elite Four with Miguel and Robbie. I get it. They wanted Miguel and Robbie to be the top 2 fighters, right? That's fine, but you didn't need to massacre our boy so much that he's like being compared to Dimitri and Kenny the entire time. You still could have had it, like, you should have still at least had Hawk in the conversation with Robbie and Miguel. I mean, he is the All Valley champion. Robbie never even won a title, right? Hawk beat Robbie, and now we just completely take Hawk out of the picture. Whatever. Hawk is still a great character. I still enjoyed his friendship aspect with Dimitri by part 3 at least, and the way his character ends. Hawk is a fantastic character. He means so much to me, and without him, this show would not be the same. So even though his pure character arc only goes from season 1 to season 4, and season 5 and 6 is more of just him just hanging out and being an extra, or not an extra, but like, a glorified extra amongst the kid cast, he doesn't get this pure shine and focus anymore. He's still a great character, and he's a huge part of this show. Okay, so now we are going to get into our top 2, and obviously by process of elimination, you know who it's between. It's between Stingray and Bert. Who is the best character in Cobra Kai? Stingray or Bert? Leave a comment down below. Alright, we're just kidding. Obviously, it is between Miguel and Johnny. Don't get me wrong, Sting and Bert are great comedic reliefs. Definitely some honorable mentions. But if you want to know where I actually think of Stingray and Bert, check out that Cobra Kai tier list that I keep mentioning, because it's a really cool video, and it's a very long video, and I want you to watch it. Now, the best kid character in Cobra Kai is clearly Miguel. The best adult character is clearly Johnny. Their relationship is so impactful, so important. But at number 2, we have Miguel Diaz. I cannot say Miguel's name now without doing the Gunther Braun, season 6, part 3 announcement of Miguel Diaz. Miguel Diaz is the best character, or the best kid character in Cobra Kai. If he's your number 1 in the show, there's really no argument. Miguel is great. Zolo plays him so well. He is the Karate Kid of our generation. No matter what this new Karate Kid Legends does, or any other future Karate Kids, Miguel Diaz is the Karate Kid of this generation. There'll never be another, I don't think, after Daniel LaRusso, like Miguel Diaz. Miguel basically plays like Daniel at the very beginning, the geeky kid who gets bullied, picked on, and needs a karate sensei. This time it's flipping the script to, it's Cobra Kai this time helping him, and it's Daniel's, original Karate Kid Cobra Kai foe, and Johnny Lawrence being the Miyagi to Miguel Diaz. Miguel is so great. He is basically pure to himself almost the entire series. He only has one blip when he gets drunk and accidentally hits Sam, and then he kind of goes Cobra Kai bad in the All Valley tournament. But he pretty much goes right back to humble Miguel right into season 2, episode 1, and he goes through so many arcs and things. He is the best fighter in the show. He's always been. He went through a hiccup when he showed mercy to Robbie and he kicked him off the balcony. Another reason why I don't like Robbie sometimes is that, right? Miguel showed mercy and Robbie was supposed to be Miyagi-No, and he kicks him off the balcony after Miguel could have snapped his arm, right? Who knows how good of a fighter Miguel could have been? Maybe Axel doesn't even stand a chance if Miguel doesn't even get hurt. But it was great for a story arc. In season 3, being put in a wheelchair and having to basically come from being paralyzed in a coma to eventually learn how to walk again and gain confidence again. And it was cool in season 3 that they kind of brought it back to the roots after being a great fighter in season 2 of Cobra Kai and gaining confidence. He kind of goes back to season 1 where he needs Johnny and depends on Johnny to, you know, gain confidence and be able to walk or literally do anything again. And in season 4, he, is just basically trying to find himself. He doesn't really show that he's got the ability to fight or win anymore. In my mind, it was kind of also the biggest version of Miguel. He got a little bit chunkier. It's funny, Miguel's transformation or Zola's transformation throughout the show. In every single season, he looks kind of completely different, but he kind of plays perfect at the same time. I don't know if it's intentional with his character. In season 1, he plays the more skinny, geeky kid, and that's all he was, who gained confidence. Season 2, it's like he looks like a brand new person. He's matured, he's grown, and he looks like more of a formidable fighter. Season 3, when he got paralyzed and was in a wheelchair and this and that, he also came across like he was more weak and defenseless, even when he was just walking around and not in a wheelchair anymore. He seemed like almost back to his season 1 self, even though he was older looking, but he seemed like he had that again. Season 4, he starts to gain more swag and more, confidence, almost like season 2, but he was a little bit heavier, looked like he was less in shape, and just he never seemed like he had that full foot in it yet, because we're like, well, he just got out of a wheelchair. How much better is he than he was at the end of season 3? And what happened? He ends up injuring his back. And then by season 5, he was slimmer. He looks completely different. And then he looked so elite in season 5. So much so where I'm like, they're never going back with this guy. He's clearly going to be at the top. And then in season 6, part 1, obviously, they humble him a little bit with the Robbie fight, which I was semi-pissed about. But I knew in my heart of hearts that they had to bring Miguel back. And I do think Miguel didn't seem like he was as good of a fighter in season part 1, just the way he acted. Except for the one moment when he was fighting, Sean Payne and Kenny, and he was doing the baseball punch or whatever. He did show glimpses of moments, but by season 2 or season 6 part 2, the Sekai Tech guy, they never slowed down with his character, not just being a great fighter, but a great leader and mindset. His loss with Robbie propelled him to be jealous at first, and then also to humble himself and become a leader, to not just lead Robbie, but his inspirational speech on the beach in season 6 part 2 with Daniel and Johnny when they were at odds for the 50th time and Miguel had to basically sensei them. He became a sensei to Robbie. He became a sensei to Daniel and Johnny through season 6 part 2, which was just showing his mature and just why he's the original Karate Kid, or why he's the Karate Kid of the show, because it's not just about his fighting ability, it's about his mentality and who he is and the aura that he brings. Nobody had more aura than Miguel in multiple points of this show, especially by season 6 part 2 and onward. And even when Robbie was trying to fight Axel in part 3, Miguel just had, he gave him that speech where he's trying to give him confidence. It just felt like Miguel had that dog in him, and he was the one to take out Axel, and he was. And that final fight between them was so beautiful. All the callbacks and the flashbacks of the transformation what Miguel went throughout the series was great. Again, I love his relationship with Sam Laruso. I'm glad they finished on a high note. There was no issues there, and they get to go to Okinawa, and hopefully, in my mind, they live happily ever after. So Miguel Diaz is the Sekai Tekai champion. He is the Karate Kid of the show. He's such a well-written character, such a great character, everything about him. I love him so much. Without Miguel, this show isn't the same. And it's simple as that. But at number 1, we have, obviously, Johnny Lawrence. Johnny is the best character in Cobra Kai to me. The show starts with Johnny and it ends with Johnny. We all said that it started with Johnny and Miguel and it needs to end with Johnny Miguel. And it basically did. But then when we think about it, it really started with Johnny, technically, before he met Miguel. So they had that time to shine where in season 6, episode 14, it was the Johnny Sensei and Miguel arc in the second to last episode, and little did we know we were gonna have a final fight in the very last episode with Johnny. He goes from the ex degenerate to the ace degenerate in the first and last episode, which is such a beautiful storytelling, right, for Johnny, circling it back. He's his humble beginnings to where he finishes off as a world champion himself, taking out a formidable foe in Sensei Wolf, who really put fear into Johnny. For the first time we've ever seen in the entire show, Johnny shows fear in trying to fight someone. And what they do with Daniel's character and making him the sensei to him, and they all become Cobra Kai, and Cobra Kai wins in the end, and Johnny gets his dojo back just like he always set out to do in the original show. Such an amazing character. His relationship with Miguel is the heart and soul of the show, as I obviously said a few times while talking about Miguel. And Johnny's he's one of my favorite characters of all time. It's not just this show. He is, the tough guy, but he's also shows so much heart and emotion, especially in those last 5 episodes, right, with his relationship with Crease. And William Zabka, man, he deserves an Emmy. He deserves some sort of award. That's why I'm wearing him right now, right? Johnny is the heart and soul of the show. It's impossible not to root for him. He makes maybe some boneheaded decisions throughout the show where I genuinely could disagree with, but for the most part, I'm always rooted for him, no matter what. I usually think Daniel's wrong 90% of the time, or 99% of the time, in his relationship with Johnny. And he makes some bad decisions when it comes to Miguel or to Robbie or whatever, right? But he always finds a way to come back. He has so much heart and soul. You feel for him when Miguel falls off the balcony and he's crying and he's lost and he doesn't know what to do because he cares so much for Miguel. His relationship with Devin is so pure, that father-daughter relationship. His back and forth with Daniel is so good. That buddy cop, good and bad, who to root for. They both have their reasons, because Daniel is like the guy who thinks he's good but is kind of cocky and prideful, and then Johnny comes off as more of the bad guy, this and that, but in reality he's more of a sweetheart than what Daniel makes him out to be, right? So it's just great storytelling. It's extremely underrated, honestly, because a lot of people will say Cobra Kai is cheesy or whatever, this and that. Cobra Kai is such a heartfelt show. It's such you know a love letter to Karate Kid fans like myself, where they really did exactly what they should do, and they took what the inspiration from the Barney Stinson How I Met Your Mother, that Johnny is the real Karate Kid, and they made a whole show essentially about it. Now, granted, this show would have not worked if the kid characters weren't good too, but luckily they were, obviously, because I have two of them, Miguel and Hawk, in my top 3. I have a total of what? How many adults? I have Miguel, or not kids, or Miguel, Hawk, Robbie, Tori, and Sam. So I have 5 kids and obviously 5 adults in my top 10 ranking: Johnny, Chosen, Daniel, Silver, and Crease, right? So Johnny, Chosen, Daniel, Silver, Crease. Yeah, 5 and 5. That's pretty good that the writers were able to make a kid who grew up loving the Karate Kid love 5 kid characters just as much as 5 adult characters, right? The 5 original from the original first 2 movies, right? Or first 3, actually. Yeah, Silver was in part 3. And also 5 kid characters. So this show has everything for everyone, but it wouldn't be what it is without Johnny. He's the comedic relief, but he's also is Cobra Kai. He is strike first. He is strike hard. He is no mercy. He's also Eagle Fang Karate and had that Miyagi-Do lessons instilled with him, to where we know he's going to be such a balanced and great sensei moving forward in his lifetime now that the series is over. Alright guys, thank you for watching. This is my top 10 favorite Cobra Kai characters. Leave a comment down below. Who are your top 10? If you don't have a top 10, maybe your top 5 for me, right? I would love to discuss and debate your ranking. Obviously, there's some honorable mentions. You have people like Stingray, who's great. You have people like Amanda and Carmen, or Amanda Laruso and Carmen Diaz. Again, characters I did not mention, but they're pivotal characters to the They are the mothers of Sam and Miguel, and they are also the wives to Johnny and Daniel, and I love their dynamic with all the characters, right? So there's plenty of other characters that I left off that are great, like people like Quan and whoever. If you want to hear more thoughts on all that, again, probably for the 5th time in this video, check out my ultimate 60 character Cobra Kai ranking video where I rank 60 plus characters in a tier list format, this and that. Please go check out the video, watch the entire video so you can get my thorough thoughts on all the characters, because there's a lot of characters that I circle back on in that video. I might start them off like, oh, maybe one character's in C tier at the beginning of the video, and then midway through I realize when I'm shifting people around, nope, this character's really B. Oh, this person is A. Oh, A moved up to S. It's a fun video. I go through a lot of different ideas in my head, and it was hard to rank 60 plus characters on the spot like that. But if you love Cobra Kai and you love talking about these characters, I think you'll enjoy it. So definitely go check that out. Okay, that's it. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.